This podcast is brought to you by lillibadcock.com and the Confidence Academy, giving you the confidence to be who you truly are. This is the Confidence Academy podcast. My name is Lilli Badcock and I am a transformational confidence coach, and I'm here with a message for you. The anxiety and overwhelm you've been experiencing is not something to be feared or avoided. It's also not something that gets to define who you are as a person. No matter who you are, no matter what your story is, I know that you get to live a life of fulfillment and joy. It's my absolute pleasure to bring this podcast series to you in collaboration with some phenomenal people from all over the world who have walked the same path as you. Together, we will share our stories, our challenges, and our triumphs, with the intention of helping you to see that it's possible for you too. Anxiety may be something you live with, but it doesn't get to define who you are or how you live your life. So stand by for some powerful conversations, deep realizations, and the occasional F-bomb. So get those headphones in if you're around sensitive ears, and stand by. This is going to be fun. What's up, everybody? We are back, and man, oh man, did we have a corker for you today. I don't know why I'm saying we. Who's we? I have a corker. Well, me and my guests. This is actually a Confidence Academy podcast first, because I got to interview two amazing ladies at the same time. Carlie and Theresa McGallicher sat down with me to talk about all things miracles in this magical episode. Together, they have founded something called the Miracles Tribe, which is an amazing online community offering support and guidance to those wanting to learn from the spiritual text, A Course in Miracles. This was such a fun interview to do, and Carlie's friend Karen even got involved, complete with a flashing wand. Now, as you're only listening to the audio, you're going to have to use your imaginations for that bit, but I promise you it was quite something. As ever, the message was a powerful one, and I hope that you're going to love listening to this as much as we love recording it for you. Be sure to head to the show notes for the links we mention, and please give us a like and review on iTunes if you love the show. But for now, get your feet up and prepare for the shenanigans. This is going to brighten your day for sure. Hi guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's Lilli here, and oh Lord, I say it every single episode how excited I am to have these guests on. I think for now I can just have a caveat to say that I'm just so excited to have absolutely everyone on that comes on this podcast. But this is a first on the podcast, you guys, and we are now 3 years old, and I think we might have just gone past the podcast birthday. And this is the first time we've ever had an interview with two people at the same time. That's 2 plus me. So there's 3 in total for those of you following along. I am so thrilled to welcome Theresa and Carlie onto this podcast. And together they have founded something called the Miracles Tribe. She said, scrolling her notes really quickly to find the name of it. It's something called the Miracles Tribe, and it's based around something called the Course in Miracles. Now, I don't know how many of you listening to this podcast are going to be familiar with A Course in Miracles. And you'll know that over the years, this podcast has been going in a more spiritual direction. Well, this is like we've been strapped to a rocket and sent into orbit, because we're about to go full on spiritual woo-woo. So buckle up, hang on to your pants and get ready for this. Theresa and Carlie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Lilli. We're delighted to be here.
So exciting. So I know Carlie.
Thank you, Lilli. What a treat. What a treat.
Such a treat. Carlie is waving around a pink wand, you guys. We're already having a party, and it's only the start of the episode. So Carlie, you're in Utah. You're in Salt Lake City, Utah. Theresa, is that the same for you, or are you somewhere else in the world?
No, I'm on the other side of the United States in Pennsylvania.
Oh my goodness. And we're recording this on a very monumental evening, aren't we, for the US? So I so appreciate you guys being here. I know that it's earlier in the day for you, but hopefully we can bring some magic to you guys and to everybody listening tonight. So I want to kick off straight off the bat with an explanation into what is A Course in Miracles, because I don't know how many people listening are going to be super familiar with what that is. So give me an overview, and for everyone listening.
A Course in Miracles is a channeled work. It's written by Jesus, and it came through a psychologist, a woman named Helen Schucman, in the 1960s, 40 years ago, 50 years ago almost. And it is a mind training program. So it consists of 3 sections. The first part is the text. The second part is a workbook for students with 365 lessons, one for each day of the year. And the third part is called the Manual for Teachers. And this book has been around for a long time. There are several different editions available of it. And it's meant to transform the way that you think so that you see the world completely differently, and in a way that you can enjoy life instead of struggle in life.
I just love it. I mean, I did warn you guys. I did warn you that you were being strapped to a rocket and sent to the planet of Woo. But like straight off the bat, we are channeling messages from Jesus. And I have witnessed the power of this work because I have followed several people whose entire business is rooted in the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And 2 that come to mind straight off the top of my head are Gabrielle Bernstein and Amanda Francis, both of whom refer to the Course in Miracles frequently in their programs. I'm interested straight off the bat. I'm covered in goosebumps as well, which is just the most amazing thing. I'm really curious straight off the bat, because I know this is going to be a question, and I'll direct this to Carlie. So you can tell I haven't done this before. I've never had to direct my questions, but I'll try and do this. So Carlie, obviously this is a channeled work, right? That came through this lady from Jesus. Does that mean that it's religious in its context, in the normal sense of the word? Would you say that it's religious, or is it more spiritual? Because I know, I mean, that could be a whole conversation, couldn't it? But what's your take on it?
Yes, it really could be. And it's such an excellent question, Lilli. And I was hesitant because I was raised if I'm from Utah, I was raised as a Mormon, and then stepped aside from the church. So it's actually does a lot of what religions, the falsehoods that are found in religions, and many people are leaving religions nowadays. Many are staying, and I realize if it works for you, that's great. But as you, there may have been some religion that didn't work for you. And to me, I'll just give you my personal story that I was devout, and then my 13-year-old son came to us and just said, you know, I know that I'm gay, Mom and Dad. It was, and I just need to know, how are you going to handle this? And we knew him to be such a kind-hearted, just loving son, respectful in every way. And he was actually very devout in our religion. He always wanted to bear his testimony of Christ, but the religion did not accept gay people. And so all of a sudden it was like, now wait, I thought that Jesus had unconditional love for everyone. So it was a very confusing moment for me. And I find that maybe we could say the Course in Miracles has Christ consciousness. So to me, I have actually met the most unconditional Christ. I think oftentimes there are also religions have an external God or an external Christ. And to me, the Course delivers that to something that is solidly within you, and that you carry in yourself 24/7, and that you don't have to earn.
Yes.
It's not conditional. You don't have to do things right to have it. You are innocent, you are sinless, and you have that as your inner. And I love when they say the full presence of love.
I think it's incredible, Theresa, just while Carlie gets her audio back on, I do think it's incredible what Carlie was just sharing about how it's kind of it goes along with some of what religion follows, but it takes away very much from this idea that there's anything external, because my own journey has been exactly that. I was raised Christian. My dad is still, very devout Christian, and my mum too. And I had really strong faith up until, can't remember the year, I would want to say 2013 or 14. And given a number of things that happened in quick succession, I started to question my faith. In fact, I lost it completely at one point. And it was the darkest time, because I'd lived my entire life in strong faith, always believing that there was something that was looking after me, and that was, smiling down on me, but always from this idea of, if I'm good, I get rewarded. It was very much this idea of, I have to earn these great things that are available to me. And then, to then be confronted with some very, very confronting situations. I was searching the religion I'd been brought up with, and I couldn't find the answers. It wasn't lining up with what I'd been told. I was like, I don't understand the world through this lens anymore. It just didn't make sense. And I lost my faith completely. And then I began this journey of trying to find my way back, because I just felt led to do that. And I literally looked in all the corners. I looked at everything. I was literally like, it was like going to a marketplace for religion. I was like, I'll look at all of them. I'll be anything. I need to believe that I need to believe again. I need to have this faith. And so I looked at various things. The thing I resonated with the most was Buddhism, but even that it wasn't ticking all the boxes. And then just through my own journey, I just started to forge what I have always called spirituality. And it was this, I felt very much like Carlie was sharing, that I was moving away from the idea of religion, and instead into this idea that, I am this beautiful ball of golden light, and that's what we all are, and we all come from the same source, and we are that love. And it's like the God isn't external, because the God is us. Excuse me, I've been eating chocolate peanuts and now they're making me cough. Busted. So I find it phenomenal that through my various, quests to find answers, the Course in Miracles kept showing up. And, and right off the bat, Carlie's explanation of it has perfectly mirrored the experience that I had as well. So, Carlie, we lost you, but I just, like, the message was so powerful. You could feel the power coming through. And I think that was what it was. Do you know where you got to before I think you went back to Pluto.
Yes, but so at that point, when I left the Mormon church, I began searching. And I did right off the bat kind of not go to the Course in Miracles, because some of the references are religious. But I think that can stop people. And that's one thing that we are, one of our aims in the Miracles Tribe is to support people if that particular nomenclature doesn't work for you. If they're words, or it can be very male oriented. But this darling Theresa just kept saying to me, it's just referring to form. And that kind of was a clue to me. It's just referring to form. That's just form. That's just how and this will almost take you to a place beyond that. So that became intriguing for me. So instead of finding things that would stop me from studying, then I would just be able to put it on the shelf and say, maybe at a further time, I'm going to be led to more understanding. And this will come back to me. And I have to say that I'm a newbie, that there are lots of people who've studied the course for a very long time. I tried to, and find that it's dense territory, that it really helps if you have a guide and if you have a group that's surrounding you for accountability and to help you if there are things you don't understand, because it really is, there's a lot there. But the bottom line is that it removes the blockages to love. So you can have more love in your life. And I went through a huge, I like to say my life splattered. This beautiful home and a family and this wonderful husband. And then it was like someone stuck in some sticks of dynamite and it all just went up. And out of that, and it is the phoenix rising, I had to go down to the very foundation and begin rebuilding. And it seems to me that just in finding a partner to read the lessons with, that everything that I wanted is there. And it's the catalyst to bring it out of you. They would always, you have the answers within you, but we don't know where to go. We don't know how to find it. We don't know how to access it. Yeah, it was just such a simple, gentle way to access everything I wanted that was within me. And so that's what just excited our passion to, we would love to share this with anyone it resonates with.
Yeah, I want to pick up on something you said there as well, because, you know, and this is why I asked the question about the religious context, because I know straight away people listening who maybe don't identify as being religious, or maybe have been brought up religious and are trying to move away from that, straight away might think, oh, that's not for me. And you might be right, it might not be for you. But I tell you what, I'm just starting to learn, though, or not starting to learn, I guess I've been having these lessons for a long time. You are going to be led to the teachers, the mentors, the scriptures, the books, the courses, the programs, you know, whatever. You are going to be led to the things that are going to best serve you in this moment right now. And your human ego is going to try and tell you that that isn't what you need and that that's not the right way. You will know in your heart if that's something that you should be exploring, even if you can't explain why that would be. Theresa, let's hear from you about your journey with the Course in Miracles. How did you come to find it, and what difference has it made in your life? And I realize those are two enormous questions, so I can repeat if needed.
Yeah, so I was also raised Christian. I was raised Methodist. We went to church every Sunday, and I went to Vacation Bible School in the summer, which I loved. I loved hearing the Bible stories and learning about Jesus. But I got pretty cynical pretty early on with the whole structure of the church and what they were doing, because I could see a lot of hypocrisy, and I could see that there was a lot of emphasis on things that really didn't seem to matter. And, you know, from my perspective. So after about 13, I pretty much stopped going to church, but I never stopped really being fascinated by spirituality. And I was also very interested in other religions. And I like you said, I just felt very drawn to that subject. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to read about Hinduism and Buddhism and Judaism. And I started to see at a pretty young age that all of those faiths taught basically the same thing, which is the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's pretty simple. It's not hard, but there's all this convoluted stuff that gets added on that seems to make it complicated. And so I kept searching for, trying to sort it out, what's right, what's wrong. And then I was led to the Baha'i faith. I got very interested in that for a couple of years, because they teach that God sent different prophets at different periods of history to different cultures to try to get the same message out to all these different groups. And that made sense to me. But at the same time, it wasn't 100% for me, enough to like really join and go gung-ho with the Baha'i faith. So I was still floundering. And then I came to find out about A Course in Miracles through 12-step work. I kept seeing quotes from it in a book that I was reading that was about adult children of alcoholics. And I was like, what is this Course in Miracles? It sounds really interesting. So I went and I bought the book. To address your question earlier about whether it's a religion or a spirituality, the course is a self-study course. It's absolutely not a religion. There's no dogma. There's no structure. There's no hierarchy. There's no one in charge. It's you and your connection with Source. That's what it's all about. So I started reading it. I tried to read it. I couldn't understand it. I was very drawn to it. I felt like it had some special message for me, but I was also at the same time very suspicious. I was like, who wrote this book? Why doesn't it have an author's name on this copy? Who is this Foundation for Inner Peace? And, this was in the days before the internet. This was back in the 1980s, so you couldn't really research things. And I did the first maybe 50 workbook lessons very diligently. And all of a sudden things started shifting in my life. And I was in a very toxic relationship at that time with a man. And I started to see that the relationship did not serve me. It didn't make me happy. It wasn't going anywhere. And I had been unable to leave that relationship. And suddenly, from the changes in the way that I started to think from doing those first 50 workbook lessons, I found the inner resources to love myself and do what was best for me. And so that relationship disintegrated. And then within 6 months, I met another man who was amazing, and he proposed right away, and we ended up getting married. And we've been married for 28 years now. And
wow.
Together. So that was a huge, miracle in my life that happened. But after I got married, I put the book aside. I just got busy with life and kids and family and work. And I thought about picking it up every once in a while and trying to read it, but I just struggled. And what I see now looking back is that I had a lot of ego resistance. So as you said, things come to us when we're ready to hear them. And I just wasn't ready for about 20 years to do the rest of the work. But in 2014, I opened the book up and I read a passage that said that suffering is meaningless, that delay is meaningless in eternity, but tragic in time. And we live in a world with the timeline here. And I thought to myself, why am I delaying doing this work? Why do I keep delaying it? I don't want to be part of the tragedy for me or anyone else. So at that point, I looked at the table of contents and I noticed that there were 31 chapters. I had never noticed that before in the text. And I thought to myself, wow, I could read one chapter every day and be done in a month. And that's what I did in October of 2014. I read the entire book in a month. I didn't understand a lot of it. I just kept plowing through. I just made a commitment to myself to do that. And things have never been the same since then. Like, I can't tell you how my life has been transformed.
That's incredible. That's so incredible. I'm absolutely covered in goosebumps. And like the whole story and, the dedication to it's that magical shift, isn't it? It's when you've been in resistance for so long and everything has felt so hard, even if it's just reading a book or trying to follow a program. And it's that moment of time where you suddenly go, but what if I could do that? And you suddenly see it from a new lens or through a new perception. And you say, that's just a chapter a day. I can do that. And I think it's so synchronistic. I was sharing with both Theresa and Carlie before we went live how this whole podcast got started. And it was exactly that. I'd got to the end, and anyone that's listened to this podcast for a long time is going to start yawning now, going, blah, blah. She's told this story so many times. But I know there are lots of new listeners, so this is for you. And for anyone who's bored, go and make a drink. But, I'd got to the end of 2017. It was the end of October 2017. And I was starting to do that thing that I had always done, where I'd always be really excited in January, really fired up for the whole year and like, yes, it's going to be the year that I change my life and I'm going to do this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then it got to the end of October and I was starting to feel that retractive energy of, oh, look at all the things I haven't achieved. Look at all the goals I didn't hit. And I was feeling very burdened again. And it had been a number of years by that point where I'd set these huge goals and not met them. And I was starting to think I should just quit. I just shouldn't bother. And then I had a similar moment where I just went, well, I think this big shift I've been looking for isn't a big shift at all. I think it's micro shifts in a nanosecond it's a moment of a decision, and it's one choice, it's one thought that compounds over time and creates the shift. And something in me said, what if you've been making the change all along, and what, you're just going to quit now? Like, no, what if you could just believe that this is the change? And that's when I decided, okay, I'm just going to trust my inner nudge. I'm going to do whatever I feel led to do, even if it feels stupid. And the next nudge I got was start a podcast. And that's how this podcast came about. And I think, that what you just shared about the taking just a month to read it, it's just that shift in perception of, oh, I could do that. Like, I could absolutely do that. I could make that choice. And for the people listening, and I know we've been on a real journey with this podcast, it started out as a resource for anxiety sufferers, and I'm hoping that it still is that very much, because when you're anxious, it's the same thing, or depressed or stressed or whatever ails you. It's that same idea that you have to make a big change, or that, like, I used to go to bed and just hope and just wish that it would be different the next day. And I don't really know what I was wishing for or how I thought it was going to happen. But it was like every day I would open my eyes, I'd be in the same life, and I'd be like, oh, okay, let's do it again, And so for anyone listening, if there's anybody listening to this who is still suffering in that way, with anxiety, with stress, with depression, or the current climate we're in right now, even with the state of the world, even if you weren't anxious before, maybe you are now. And it's, in fact, the pandemic is a perfect example of that. Again, it's this false feeling that there has to be an enormous shift, that there has to be a big change. And I'm telling you, there doesn't. It's a tiny, tiny shift. And it's a belief, and it's a faith that we're always guided, we're always loved, we're always supported. We are being taken through what we need to be taken through. And you can absolutely be certain that you are not being given anything you don't have the resources to come through. And I'm not saying you'll come through unscathed, because we do get scathed. Is scathed a word? I don't know. Like, you're going to get bruised, battered, beaten around the head, I read a quote once that said, like, and I'm going to misquote it because I'm terrible at quotes, but it was something like, life isn't about coming to the end of it in a pristine condition, with your hair all in place and not a mark on you. It's about sliding in sideways with a drink in one hand and a fag in the other, going, woohoo, what a ride, like, you signed up for this experience of life. And I think in Carlie's case, it won't be a fag, it'll be a pink wand. But like, don't you want to say that you lived your life? We want to say that we lived, and you can't really feel it's blue now. Yeah. Carlie, was that wand not pink before? It's now blue. Explain yourself. It's multicolored. There are two wands.
Yes, it's changed color. There are two.
Can I just say, I introduced Theresa and Carlie. I didn't introduce Karen. We have got Karen off camera as well. She's Carlie's friend. She's wielding multiple wands now in the background. I love it.
Because I think that's one thing that Theresa and I really hope to do with the Miracles Tribe, that often when we hear religion or we hear spirituality, you think it could be drab and boring, or even that the text has religious words in it. It's like, oh no, now I'm going to have to get serious. But really, I think enlightenment makes you lighter, that you really can laugh and play at a level that you couldn't before. And I think what's really come to me, and I'm the new one, so I'm the work in progress. Theresa has been at it a lot longer, but I just asked her if she would be a daily miracles partner with me to read the workbook lessons. And even last night there was anxiety, but there's within me is that knowledge that you talked about, that whatever you're facing, you can be greater than. There is a part of you. There's a part of you, your high self, your true self, that is greater than any challenge you will face. And to have that comforting you at night and know that it lies within you, it's not external, and that it knows you well, and can offer you peace I think then you can get up the next morning. Like you said, it's just a little micro shift in the middle of the night that all of a sudden there is an inner peace. Things are more spacious. I'm not as gripped by my anxiety. If I sit with it long enough, a spaciousness opens up, and I know that I am greater and that things will work out. That's another thing Theresa keeps telling me. When you move from your head to your heart, you can begin to have a confidence that things will work out. Maybe not exactly the way that you thought they were going to, but things are working out for your best. And I think that can settle everything, can really help. And there are times when I'll go back to the book. They have the workbook lessons. And sometimes I'll even say to Theresa, we need to stay on this one. We're not just going right through, because this one's an important one. Like, there is nothing to fear. To someone who's lived in a world that conditioned you that you need to lock your car, you need to lock your door, things can be stolen from you, your computer information, your bank, to really come to that place where there's nothing to fear, it can take a while for that to actually become your reality. But those blockages to love are gone, and you are in tune with a source and a universe that nurtures you, that loves you, that wants you to succeed. Wants you to have magic and magic wands. So
I love it. I wish you guys could see the visual we've got right now. Karen she's waving those wands with conviction. I love it. Karen's getting a shout out in the show notes for sure. I'm going to take some stills. Oh, hey, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to pop in and let you know that the time has finally come to reopen the doors to my On Purpose Mastermind. This is my private inner circle where you can work with me for an entire year to get you fully aligned and confident with your true soul purpose. You can access the private group coaching or go VIP to work with me one-to-one. Places are limited and registration is open now, so get in touch today if you know this is for you. I've put a link in the show notes with the full details. Okay, that's all for now. I'll let you get back to the interview. Mwah. Theresa, let's come back to you for a second. So with the Miracles Tribe, who are typically the people that join this tribe? Like, where are they at when they find you? So that anybody listening can know if it's their tribe. Because I think it was Carlie earlier that said about how it can be so overwhelming to read something like this on your own. And it's not just about A Course in Miracles. Life can be overwhelming if you're on your own. Finding a family, whether that's your family or a soul family, is so important for the accountability, for the support, just to know that you're not the only one going through it. And so I feel for sure there are going to be people listening who are maybe starting to feel like they want to be in on the wand waving action of the Miracles Tribe. So who are typically the people? And I know that you'll call people from all walks of life, but typically where are people emotionally when they find you? And then how does the work help them to shift?
So our tribe members typically are people who have already tried all the other self-help programs, this or that church perhaps, or different kinds of spirituality. And maybe they had some temporary relief, or they had some small shifts in their life, but they didn't get to that permanent place of feeling peace and knowing how to access it at any time that Carlie was just describing. And they know that something fishy is going on here, and that what you see isn't necessarily what's really the truth, and they're looking for the truth. Mm-hmm. So yes, people who are interested in spirituality, people who have tried all the different methods that the world has to offer to figure out what the truth is, and they're still not satisfied. And maybe perhaps people who've even tried to do A Course in Miracles on their own. It could be people who've never heard of it, but also people who have heard of it and tried to do it, but just found it really daunting, couldn't stick with it by themselves, and need encouragement, need support, would like to have like-minded people to share their miracles with and to share their experiences with.
Yeah, perfect. And so we will put a link in the show notes to
to the information if people would like to reach out and find out more about being part of the Miracles Tribe. I want to be part of the Miracles Tribe just because the energy coming from you girls is just absolutely amazing. And I knew it was going to be as soon as we got on this call. In fact, even before that, Carlie was chatting to me. It was either over Messenger or in a Facebook thread. And immediately I was like, yes, like I want to talk to these people on my podcast, because the Course in Miracles it's almost been like this holy grail that's been floating around, that every now and then I'll kind of come to it, or it will show up, like I will take somebody's program and they'll start quoting it. Or, I have actually got it. I bought it on Audible, but then didn't really get into it. So what you just described is exactly that. For me, I'm very, very interested in it. And I think this idea of having a community and that accountability and support to take in the information and kind of say how you're feeling as well. Because I also think with any kind of self-development, we're constantly, no matter how good the information is, we're constantly battling with our human emotions, with our own perceptions, with our own idea of what's possible for us. I know that for me, I'm a huge believer in a lot of things that I read, but then there's this little voice in my head that's like, it won't work for you though. It will work for everyone else in the world, but not for you, And so I think it's important to have a safe space where you can honestly show up and go, look, this is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling. And I think in this world that we're in now, where we have social media and it's brilliant for connection, but there does tend to be this unwritten rule that you have to put on a shiny shop front. I talk about this a lot, and I've seen myself do it even. I will join support groups and then I'll notice that I'm trying to show up as someone that has it all together. And why? Like, why do we do that? But I know I'm not the only one. Like, if you're doing that and you think you're hiding from me, you're not. I see you because I know, because I do it myself. You've gone to get support and then you're not letting yourself be supported because you're too busy trying to convince everyone that you've got all your shit together. Well, like no one has though. This is the point. Like none of us have. And this is what I don't understand about the world in general. We are all these balls of energy, these beautiful souls that signed up for this amazing experience. Not one of us has any clue who we are, why we're here, what we're supposed to be doing. And yet we've all got this idea that we're supposed to pretend that we know what we're doing and why we're here. I just think the world would be such a better place if there could be more communities and spaces where people go, hi, not a clue, somebody help, please. Without that fear of judgment or without that fear of someone going, because actually what would happen? If you went into a Facebook group and went, hi, not a clue, nobody would ridicule you. They'd be like, oh my God, let me help you. Because, we are an army. We're all marching and we're all marching on our own path and we're all on our own place on that path as well. And as many people as are ahead of you, there are that many people behind as well and alongside. And so we're constantly surrounded by people we can help and people that can help us. And I think more of us need to learn to understand that that's the point of our role. We are supposed to help and be helped constantly. There is no end goal. There is no place where you get to a point where you're like, well, I've graduated life. I've learned everything there is to learn. And now I'm just going to sit on my throne with my flashy wands and tell everyone what I've learned. Like, I don't want to get to that point. I never want to feel like I've learned everything. And yet, even I forget that sometimes. And I'm constantly trying to get to this place of there. And I'm doing inverted commas with my fingers for people that are listening on the audio. I call them doofers. But, where is there? There is no there. And I think more acceptance, it comes back to what you were talking about with what this text teaches, that, the answers are within us, but they're mirrored back by everyone we're surrounded by. I was literally doing the washing up. I think it was yesterday. And I'd read something on social media and it was somebody being very angry about, who was it? It was someone in the public eye that that had died, and they'd apparently not been a very good person. And so she was like, all these people that are saying nice things about this person shouldn't be saying it because they were a bad person. And I just thought to myself, wow, like we really need to learn forgiveness. And there's nobody that's perfect. Like nobody comes through life with perfection. And I just think, and the phrase that came to my mind was, your inability to forgive others is a mirror for your inability to forgive yourself. And that, I heard that in my head, and it was like, wow, we are supposed to learn from those around us. And so those of us that get triggered by things that we see or people that are around us, there's a mirror being held up. There's something to heal. And yes, the answers are within us, but they're also in everyone that's around you. You're being given opportunities constantly to really see how you feel about something and how you want to react. So I love the sound of the work that you girls are doing. How long has it been running? When did it launch?
Thank you. We've just been launching this fall. Yes, just
wow.
Yes, last month.
Great
Just
new
launched.
And actually, Lilli, that was exactly what happened to me. As we were in a B school group, and I just realized that all of these women had a peace and a serenity in their lives that I didn't. So I asked Theresa, I just said, would you mind?
That's another, in 6 months, I'll have my dream life. It's all available for you now. And these lovely ladies are going to just guide you with love to see what's already in your life. And it will be those micro steps, those tiny changes, because again, this is something I've learned in my own life. When you're in that mind space of, the shift is over there, or the shift is in the future, that's a mindset. So it actually wouldn't matter what changed in your life. If the mindset doesn't change, then you're always going to feel like the shift is still yet to come. There's a really quick exercise you guys can all do. Everyone who's listening that feels drawn to do this, is a really quick exercise you can do. Just cast your mind back over the last year or 10 years or 5 years or whatever feels good. Try and think back to a time in your life where you felt stuck somewhere. A really good example of this, and it might seem silly, but there was a time when I was being severely bullied at school. And in that moment, I couldn't see beyond it. It felt like the biggest problem in my life. It felt like the worst thing that was happening. There have been multiple things like that since. But the fact is, I'm not being bullied now. And I have been shaped as a human being as a result of that. My point is, I was always being guided through it. I was never going to stay there. Wherever you are right now listening to this, you're not going to stay there either. And I know that it can feel really hopeless. I know it can feel really dark. You have to believe that there's another route for you. There's a purpose to what you're going through. And when you can really embody that and see the beauty of you as a person and as a soul, you will find the strength to take another step, to reach out and get the support, however that looks for you. And I said it already on this podcast, but when you start asking for help, it doesn't show up in a big flash of lightning. Like, the archangels aren't going to all float down playing harps and like bestowing riches upon you. But maybe, just maybe, you'll stumble onto a podcast like this, or maybe, just maybe, you'll find a Facebook post, or, a friend of mine actually had this happen. A book fell off the shelf and landed at his feet when he was in a dark space. And somebody else that was in the room was like, I'd pick that up if I were you. I think that's for you. And his whole life has changed. But not one of these people, anyone that you hear that is telling you their life has changed, Theresa said it earlier, and so Theresa will back me up, I'm sure, not one of those people woke up the next day and went, oh, my life is different. It took faith, it took work, and faith, by the way, is believing it's coming when there is no evidence of that whatsoever. Faith isn't when everything's going really well and you're going, oh, I'm so happy and grateful for my life. Faith is when it all looks hopeless and you still believe that you're going to get there. Focus on that and you will never lose. I promise you. Theresa, let's hear a final word from you. I'm just looking at the time. I told you I could talk for England. I did warn these people. Theresa, what do you want to say to the people that are listening? What would your message be to the people listening to this podcast?
I want to say that suffering is absolutely unnecessary. And all the things that you just talked about, where we do go through suffering in life, where you were bullied, where Carlie had trouble with her, church and marriage, and I've had problems with relationships. Those things do shape us as people, but there is a way to get beyond those things and not have to go through those things anymore. And this has been my personal experience, and the experience of many, many other people that I know who have worked with A Course in Miracles. There is a process and there is a system that will allow you to step out of that struggle and that suffering. And that's what Carlie and I want to offer to everyone. We know that suffering is not necessary, and we want to show you how to live without it.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that. Carlie, how about you? Final words for the people listening.
No, there is a place where you can live that's on the other side of fear. You can live in a place where you're surrounded by love, where you know yourself as love. And in your darkest moments, you still bring the light, to know that you're the light and you are the love. And yes, I had tried everything else. And so it was almost to my surprise that there was finally something that worked. And I have to keep telling myself, oh, I'm here. The miracles are surrounding me. And truly, Lilli, what a treat. You are just, so fabulous. It's just been a miracle for me to be a part of this conversation. For those of you who may be in a dark place, please just use that definition of faith, that there is something waiting for you, no matter what the circumstances are showing you. You too may be part of a beautiful conversation. It's just been such an honor for me to be a part of this podcast today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It has just been the most powerful messages coming through, and the most powerful conversation. And I know that the people that listen to this podcast, I know for some of those people, life truly does feel dark. It truly feels like they've been tested. And and I love what Theresa said, that the struggle isn't necessary. It may forge you into who you are, but it's not where you stay, and it isn't who defines you. It's not who you are. And that's what I think A Course in Miracles sounds like it's teaching you. It's teaching you who you really are, which is pure love. It's the highest vibration. And I'm so excited for anyone listening who is thinking of coming on this journey with Theresa and Carlie. I've said it already, but I'll say it again. The link is in the show notes. Now, I did mention to Carlie earlier, I had this brainwave after you mentioned Kazia, because so these ladies know Kazia, who was on the podcast earlier this morning and on Friday as well. And Kazia and I trialed this thing where we did her episode and then a Q&A that followed. So we're gonna have a chat and see if we can set up a live Q&A for you guys. And when we do that, we'll let you know when that's happening, so that you can bring your questions. You can come and hang out with us some more. I mean, who doesn't want that? I absolutely demand that everybody brings a flashy wand of some description, because I think that'll be the most fun that we can have. And we will see if we can put that together for you all. So because I think there must be a ton of questions that people are going to have following this. All I know is, if this has piqued your interest, or if you're feeling led to it in any way, then follow that nudge. Definitely follow that nudge. Click the link and show up for the Q&A if you have your questions, and we'll be only too happy to help. Ladies, thank you so much for being my guests on the podcast tonight. It's just been phenomenal. Sophia's been asleep on me the entire time. For everyone listening, this was recorded at 10 o'clock at night in the UK, because I just thought, oh my goodness, Carlie is wearing, is that a She-Ra helmet? Please. Oh, I've got headwear envy. Oh my!
You read the course.
Oh my goodness. Right. Well, if this live
You're-
Q&A happens, we want fancy dress. It's happening. I love it. So to everyone
And then
listening,
we'll have our free gift. We also have a free gift that we can give away on the Q&A. So
oh,
yes.
perfect. Yeah, perfect. And that's perfect for anyone that wants to then have a little, you know, if you don't know if it's for you or not, but you're interested, that's the perfect way to get involved. So we will link you up with all of those links, and obviously on the Q&A you can come and bring your questions for that as well. To everyone listening, we want to hear from you. Go and get into the Facebook group Wake Up Rise Up. Come and let us know what this episode did for you. If you had a big shift in perception, if there was a big aha, if anything landed for you, did you get covered in goosebumps like I did? I've been covered in goosebumps from start to finish, if I'm honest. Even my eyeballs have goosebumps. It's just been amazing. Whatever your experience has been after this conversation, we would really love to hear from you. So go and jump into the Facebook group Wake Up Rise Up and let us know what you thought. And don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe on the podcast as well. And of course, share it with everyone you know, because who doesn't want more of this in their life? I don't know. Everyone needs this. Ladies, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have you back again soon for a live Q&A. And to everybody listening, remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. And I'll be back again soon. Bye-bye. Oh, wasn't that just the best conversation ever? I was buzzing for hours after wrapping this recording up, and now hearing it again has brought back all the feels. Since recording this episode, I actually started studying A Course in Miracles for myself, which is something I've been wanting to do for years. So thank you to Carlie and Theresa for giving me the nudge that I needed. And how about you? What did this episode inspire you to try? Have you read A Course in Miracles before? Or maybe you'll be checking it out now that you've listened. Don't forget, you can connect directly with Carlie and Theresa by clicking the links in the show notes. And as ever, you can join us all over in the Wake Up Rise Up Facebook group. Also, a reminder that registration is now open for the On Purpose Mastermind. Work with me throughout the entire year 2021 and get yourself out of overwhelm and fully into alignment with your soul purpose. Click the link to sign up and do reach out if you have any questions. Finally, did you know that this podcast has now been ranked in the top 2.5% of all podcasts globally? This is so exciting, and it's all thanks to you, the listeners. So thank you so much. Please keep sharing, subscribing, liking, doing all the things you're doing, because it's so appreciated. That's all for now. Join me again for another inspiring conversation, and remember, confidence is yours as soon as you choose it. Big love.